I want to talk about going to the next level, assuming the role of stage 5. I guess the aim really is to start running an office within your owner's office. If you can start to do that independently, then it starts to show the owner that you're ready to take on the responsibility of running your own office. So I'm going to give you a list of things that you should be looking at making sure that you're doing on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis to make sure that you're developing, really starting to take on that role and assume that role of stage 5. The first thing that I've got here is that you're running your own crew nights. It sounds like a silly one because what happens is you often get caught up in your leader's crew nights or an office crew night. Do make sure once you've got a couple of guys on your team that you start to separate, that you start to pull away and play your own game and run your own things. It's not that you have to do it every single week. One week you may go on your leaders, or if you're on an assistant owner's team, go out on their crew nights, but certainly make sure that you're starting to do your own, whether it's a coffee morning, bacon buddy morning, whether it's just going bowling with a couple of guys on your team. Make sure that you are starting to pull away and really independently create that for yourself. The second one that I have down here is making sure that you run your own crew meetings. I know for me, when I first started, this was a big comfort zone. I found it a little bit unusual for me to have to stand with my team. It does take a little bit of practice, but it's very important that you do it. It will make your crew feel part of something. It's something that you have to be organised, it's something that you have to have planned. And if you are on somebody else's team that does have a big team, make sure you're being respectful. You may want to be on your leaders in your leaders crew meetings on perhaps a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday, but running your own on a Tuesday and a Thursday, just to create that independence for yourself and also for your team. The third thing I've got down here for you is that to make yourself independent is that you're coming in with a plan for the pairings of the people on your team. Do you know the setups for the day? Do you know who you want working with who, why you want working for them? Now, the owner of your office may turn around and actually change those pairings, and you've got to learn and find out why they've changed them. But ultimately, you have to come in with a plan. You've got to come in for an agenda, and don't wait for somebody to organise your people, your team, and your guys. Assume that role and take on that responsibility of who's working with who, why they're working with who, and get that set up for yourself. The fourth one I have down here is making sure that you've got your impacts planned. And when I say planned, I actually mean written out, organised, thought through, not just standing next to a whiteboard and suddenly throwing out, a sales impact on closing. I see so many, crew leaders and people that are wanting to assume the role of the owner, standing up and running sales impacts without notes, off the cuff, without any planning. I would never as an owner stand up and run my meeting without having it planned out and having it organised. And if you're wanting to assume that role, you shouldn't be in a situation where you're running things where they're not planned, they're not thought through, and you haven't really organised and made them specialised, and specific to the person that you're actually coaching. Number 5 is breaking guys' days down at the end of the evening. It's an important thing that you need to do to assume the role. You don't want to naturally assume that your owner is going to do that for you each day. So it's a skill set that you want to acquire, when you're on stage 4. How to explain to the person what they need to work on, how to talk them through their day, how to concept them on what we do, how to speak to them about attitude. And there's so many things that you can learn about breaking a person's day down. But I want to personally take on that responsibility myself because I want to assume the role of the owner. I don't want to have to rely on anybody else. Of course, I will still use the owner for that role, but I'm not looking for the owner to be in a situation where they're doing that with all of my guys because I want to step into that role myself. Number 6 I've got down here is expectations. And when I say expectations, I'm not talking about specific expectations, meaning I'm talking about the setup for the day. So if I've done my pairings and I'm in a situation where I've got a combination of 2 of my guys going out together, I want to be taking control and doing a little expectations meeting. So if I've got somebody working with somebody that perhaps loses their attitude at 5 o'clock if they're on no sales, I'm going, explain to them, you need to watch out for this. He may lose his attitude at 5 o'clock, she may do this at 5 o'clock. So I'll go through the positives of them working together, but I also may point out some of the risks and some of the pitfalls that they need to watch out for and be prepared for over the day. I want to take control of that myself instead of waiting for the owner to do that. I want to assume that role and make sure that my guys are being looked after and set up. So I want to do an expectations for their day of them working together. Number 7 is crew identity. It's a very, very important part to assume the role of the owner, because you need to start, developing that career identity. You want your team to follow you, you want them to be behind your goals, you want them to be excited about working with you. So there's lots of different things you can do in regards to career identity, but it's certainly a specific area that you should be working on, focusing on, networking with people to see how to develop that career identity, within your team. Number 8 in assuming the role and going to the next level is crew goals. Are you talking about them? Is the crew behind them? Do they know where you want to open? Do you know your crew's goals? And that's an important part of assuming that role. Owners promote where the office is going to open, they promote their goals, what they're going to do, and you will need to do the same thing to go to the next level as well. Number 9 of assuming the role is just making sure you know your numbers. Do you know your recruitment numbers? Do you know your scoring percentages, piece averages? Do you know things like a guy's break even on your team? Do you physically know all your numbers? Are you calculating them? Are you planning them out? Are you running like a business person? You cannot wait till you start running a marketing company to suddenly start knowing your numbers. That's something that you need to know, certainly much earlier on in building your team, and it's something that I would certainly expect from somebody that was telling me that they wanted to run a marketing company. Number 10, just your quality management. Do you understand the rejects of the guys on your team, voids, any paperwork problems? Are you in a situation where you're covering and addressing any customer service concerns that may be on your crew and crew meetings, on crew nights? And are you actually on top of the quality control? What's important as you're coming through to being promoted onto stage 5? It's important that you've got 3 areas that you're really focused on, and you've got a good balance in regards to being organised. One is the sales management, the second one is the recruitment management on your team, and the third one is the quality management on your team. So some of the things that I've just previously mentioned, if you're doing all those things, you'll be covering your bases, because what you're looking to do is become a well-rounded owner, a well-rounded business person, and you need to be able to do all of these things. If you can only drive sales but not quality, that's going to be a problem for you, as an assistant owner. If you can only, manage quality but you can't drive the sales, again, that's going to be an issue for you. So I'd really be looking for someone that's assuming the role, wanting to go to the next level, to become well-rounded, across all these areas.